Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Wanted to talk to you about a subject that has been in and out of the news over the last year or so, for sure, with regard to, we'll call it predatory practices from companies out there that charge veterans to file their claims or to help guide them in the right direction. Basically, paid services when there's a lot of free resources. Now, look, I get it. There might be reasons to utilize one of those companies. Do I think they charge too much? Sure. Do I think that they have a place? Sure. Do I think that they should file easy claims that are maybe like presumptive conditions? No. So I think that there's something that can work. But here's what's the interesting part. The interesting part is that a state is getting sued over a law protecting veterans from quote unquote claim sharks. So this is just a really weird situation because we have the federal government looking into this. They're pushing for the VA to have more, I guess, teeth in its bite with regard to, I guess, predatory practices, charging exorbitant fees, that type of stuff, and then we have the states jumping on board with their own provisions or laws or different ramifications and so forth. So regardless of where you are state-wise, that these are things that are happening either at the federal level or at the state level, and this is just a very curious situation. So I wanted to read through it, let us kind of see what's going on, because at the end of the day, all of this has to shake out, and it's going to shake out, I believe, in a way in which these organizations can still exist and give information, but there's going to be limits to how much that they can charge and maybe certain types of claims that they can do. It's a weird situation because they're not accredited, so they don't lose an ability to be accredited, like a claims agent, right? So claims agents and attorneys and that stuff that are authorized to do the work with the VA, they have limits, right? And if they don't adhere by that, well, then they'll lose their ability to do that type of work. So there is a risk if they don't. So they don't do that, right? Where if you're not accredited, you have nothing to lose. Well, who cares, right? So I don't know. It's weird to see how this is all going to shake out. Again, I think that if you really trace all this back to a root cause, really it's the underfunding of all of the free resources that are supposed to be out there for veterans, right? If there was a plethora of free resources where a veteran could go knock on a door, sit down and have a claims consultation, we wouldn't really be in this situation, I don't think. Anyway, let's jump into it here. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The two asks, look, hit the thumbs up, let the video run. Those two things push this into more hands, which helps the channel grow to help get more word out on other things and so forth. If you want to support the channel in other ways, consider being a member. You can do that by going to the homepage. You will see the highlighted members there and a join button. Thank you so much to all you members. I really appreciate it. Let's jump into it. Maine, the state of Maine sued over law protecting veterans from claim sharks. It just doesn't even sound right. So, Augusta, a new Maine law designed to protect veterans, is under fire and is subject of a lawsuit. The law, which took effect last week, banned specific types of businesses from charging veterans who are filing disability claims with the VA. It was designed to stop what is known as claim sharks, who aggressively solicit veterans and charge them thousands of dollars to help them obtain benefits they are already entitled to. However, a North Carolina-based organization, Veterans Guardian VA Claims Consulting, says the law is unconstitutional. They also cite a backlog of VA cases and claim they have a higher success rate of getting veterans benefits than the free services. The original sponsor of the law says that's out of context. The backlog of claims is that with the VA, not with the VSOs, and that thing. That's what a weird quote. I'm going to try to read that again. The backlog of claims is that with the VA, not with the VSOs, and that thing. So I think that's muddying the water a bit, and we're not telling the whole story, right? Said Senator Brad Farnan. Well said, Brad. All right. So anyway, here's the reality. working with a claims consulting company is not going to speed up or slow down your claim with the VA. Once it gets into the VA, it's with the VA. It's really nothing. Utilizing a free resource versus a claims consulting company, it really depends on the complexity of the claim and the bandwidth of the free organization, right? And again, it goes back to the root cause of, look, these places are underfunded. So a lot of times you're going to be either sitting in a lobby for 5 hours waiting to be next in line on some sort of a walk-in basis, or you're going to be able to make an appointment, but your appointment is only good for an hour, so you better hurry up and get out everything you need to talk about, and there's not going to be much review of your documents. Now, if these free organizations had an injection of funds that they could hire more people and be able to have longer appointment times when needed, to be able to sit there and actually review files and really help somebody walk through it. They have the skill set, they just don't have the time. But if you go over to a claims consulting company, well, they're incentivized to figure it out for you. That's how they're making their money. So let's jump back into this. The law only stops unaccredited organizations, such as the one in North Carolina, from operating in Maine. And it looks like that really kind of ends it. So, or no, here's a little bit more. No, that's it. So, at the end of the day, here's the thing. You need to understand your situation, and you need to do the footwork up front yourself, and you will find that, look, at the end of the day, you need 3 things for a successful claim. 1, you need to be able to prove your time in service. That creates a window of opportunity, okay? Number 2 is you need to show the VA that you have an actual condition. You need to go get diagnosed by a doctor and have them document that. If you get a prescription for X, then that prescription also helps with your documentation of that specific condition. So now you have your time in service, gives you a window of opportunity, entry date, exit date. Then you have your diagnosed condition, right? That's chronic in nature or has some sort of residual effects. It's an ongoing problem that you have. The third thing that you need is what's called a nexus, okay? A nexus. Now, don't get it confused with Nexus Letter. A Nexus Letter helps you to establish a nexus. What the VA is talking about when they're talking about a nexus is somehow, some way, you, the veteran, need to prove to the VA that your diagnosed condition manifested during your time in service or is a result of your time in service in some way, shape, fashion, whatever. That's establishing the nexus. Now, you'll utilize a Nexus Letter in some cases to help you establish that. The easiest way, what's the easiest way to establish a nexus is to actually be diagnosed while you're in service, right? I'm in service. I started not sleeping well. People were throwing boots at me because I snored all the time and I sounded like I was dying in my sleep and whatever, right? So now I have sleep apnea. So I go and I get diagnosed. I do a sleep study while I'm in service, and I get diagnosed for sleep apnea while I'm in service, and then I exit the military and I move on my way. Well, I had a sleep apnea diagnosis during my time in service. That automatically creates the nexus because my condition manifested during my time in service. Okay, that's what they're looking for. Now, could be the same with migraines, right? Started getting migraines, never had migraines before, started getting migraines in service. I decided to go to the doctor to talk to them about it, see if I could get some sort of a prescription. And sure enough, I get a prescription and then I move on and end up getting out of the service. And then I dig back into my medical records and sure enough, I have a diagnosis for migraines during my time in service. That automatically takes care of the nexus. There's no question, okay? Now, let's move on to, you didn't have anything in service, right? You did not have anything in service documented. You get out, now you need to try to build a bridge back to your time in service. And that's where you're going to hear things like Nexus Letter, getting a letter from your doctor that states that your condition is at least likely as not to have manifested or as a result of your time in service for whatever the factors are. Maybe it was your MOS, maybe you were around jet fuel and sniffing it all day long, and maybe that caused some sort of issue for you. You could reach out and get buddy statements, all of those types of things, those letters from other people that knew you and saw you suffer from that condition. Those letters are lay evidence, and it's all trying to build the nexus. Okay, so with that, as you go through that process, figuring out everything, you're going to start to feel good about your chances of winning your claim. You can file a claim yourself. You can file a claim online with the VA. As soon as you start the process, it puts in an intent to file. And then once you finish it all up and attach all your documents and hit submit, bam, it's filed and on its way. You can work with an accredited representative. I highly suggest that second set of eyes, but remember that a lot of them are bandwidth issued. Okay, so you might only have an hour, right? Find out from your local veteran service office, how much time you can have as you go through things. You might have to make multiple appointments. Take in what you got. You already have a good mindset of what's happening. Have that sit down with them and get your claim put together. So anyway, with that, just wanted to share a little bit of interesting information going on here in one of the states with regard to a lawsuit and bringing it to your awareness. Have a great one. Hey, remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.